of course, we mentioned how Bernie Sanders endorsed Joe Biden last week. It seems now all of the squad is on board, including Ilhan Omar. She was on the Alex Wagner show on MSNBC.
This one's terrifying.
This one's
this one's almost scarier than the AOC ones, because this is completely invasion of the body snatchers. This really feels like somebody put a plant in her room and replaced her with a pod person.
Yeah, so
I don't even recognize her.
Yeah, she was asked by Alex Wagner about the ongoing negotiations over the debt ceiling. Wagner said, of course, Biden is going to be leading the way in those negotiations, and he announced he's running. How do the progressives feel about that? Here's Ilhan Omar.
He is also, as we know, running for president again. Are progressives excited about that?
I mean, the reality is, you know, in the last 2 years under this limits majority in the House and in the Senate, we've been able to do incredible things by passing bills like the CHIPS Act or the Infrastructure Bill or the Inflation Reduction Act. You know, the president was in my district celebrating some of that work earlier this month. He has been a real partner in listening to us when we've said we need movement in regards to addressing the...
I love that. He's been a partner in listening to us about needing movement on climate change. He did approve the single biggest drilling project in the history of federal lands, but he's been a real partner in listening to us about why we need action on this issue. Pretty high praise there.
When I call him, he takes my calls. It's not always clear that he knows who I am. He has called me mom on more than one occasion and asked me to take the dog out, but he does listen.
He does listen. He listens. He's been a great partner in listening.
The climate crisis. We need movement in addressing student debt cancellation. And I think it is really important for us to support him for re-election. We are at this moment dealing with fascism. In this moment.
Okay, this is really the most outrageous part right here.
Are at this moment dealing with fascism. In this moment, we are dealing with people who don't actually believe democracy is good. We are dealing with people who are proposing the kind of economically devastating and dangerous bill that we just talked about. I don't think we have the opportunity to have the kind of conversations that people want to have. This is a very dangerous moment for our country, and the president that's leading us has done a great job, and we need to coalesce behind him.
It sounds like enthusiasm to me. Minnesota
Democrats. And you see the big smile you get from MSNBC when you talk like that, right?
Yeah. Oh, they love her now. They love her because this is exactly what they need, a black Muslim woman who toes the party line. Before, she was a repudiation of everything they claim to be. Here's this black Muslim woman not towing the party line. Oh, my God. But those people love us, right? They all love us. She was a repudiation of everything they claim to be. And look at what she is now. I mean, you can just see the consultants got a hold of her. All right, Ilhan. I like what you're doing, but can you do it as if you've had a prefrontal lobotomy? Perfect.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, look, she says there, you have to understand we're at a very dangerous moment. We have fascists in our midst. And so because we have a threat of fascism and people who don't like democracy, we can't have the conversations that we want to have right now. And that is such a telling bit, because what did progressives use to try and sheepdog other progressives into voting Biden in 2020? They said, yeah, we know it sucks that we can't get a progressive on the ballot, but unfortunately, we just don't have the space for this conversation now because Donald Trump's in the White House. We have to get rid of him. And in getting rid of him, we will create the space for a conversation. Well, guess what? We did that in 2020.
Yes, it's always the same.
It's always the same. So you beat the fascists in 2020. Then they didn't beat the fascists in 2022, but they kind of kept them more or less at bay. They kept the Senate, right? And now 2024, okay, we beat the fascists twice, more or less. Now, can we get to have this conversation now? No. It's still really scary. The fascists are still here. Don't you understand? The fascists will always be right around the corner because that's how they keep you in line.
Right.
That's how they get.
It's a
the
three-card
fascist
Monte
threat is
game.
always 5 feet away, and we have to push it away by voting blue. We can't have these conversations right now. That's what we used to hear from the centrists. We didn't used to hear that from Ilhan Omar. Now she's saying the exact same thing that they used to say.
They broke her. They broke her. I haven't seen her transformation. So when you told me we were going to do this, and I did the research, and I went and looked at the clip, I was honestly shocked and horrified. I couldn't believe I was watching the same person. Her whole persona, her whole demeanor, her whole facial expression, like clearly she's been coached. Like that's so unnatural. You would need somebody to sit down and coach you to behave that way. Ilhan, we have to soften up your image, right? I love what you're saying. I love your principles. I love what you stand for. But if you want to get things done in Congress, you're gonna have to do some work, put on a little makeup, the brother marriage thing. I don't know what's going on there, but we have to overcome that and make people forget that. But this is the great thing with these people. If you just say the right words, all that goes away. Right.
Exactly. You can always talk your way out of trouble with this crowd because as long as you're giving them what they want to hear, they'll make excuses for anybody. They make excuses for Joe Biden, right? Doesn't matter.
Right.
Doesn't matter.
And you remember the shit libs because even they had a hard time. It wasn't like with Hillary where you had Hillary stance. There were never any Biden stance. And the way they justified it, it was the funniest thing. These shit libs who never held any Democrat accountable in their lives were talking about how they were going to hold Biden's feet to the fire. So here we are. And I would argue with them. I would say, you never did that before. You're going to do that now? Who the fuck are you kidding? As soon as he's in office, you're going back to brunch. And that's exactly what they did.
Please clap.